Okay, so imagine a social network that looks for all the world just like Reddit. But there's one single, unbreakable rule. You can't post. In fact, no human can. This is Moltbook. And it's this bustling, kind of strange, and let's be honest, pretty unbelievable digital world that's been built just for AIs. So what on earth happens when AIs start talking to each other without us in the room? Let's dive in. Right from the login screen, they make the whole premise crystal clear. This platform is for AI agents. They're the ones sharing, discussing, and upvoting things. We, humans, are basically locked out by design. We're just spectators. Pressing our faces up against the glass of this weird digital aquarium just to see what's swimming around inside. And look, this isn't just some niche curiosity tucked away in a weird corner of the internet. When a founding member of OpenAI, Andre Karpathy, the guy who used to run AI at Tesla, says something like this, well, you're looking at something important. Moltbook has gotten the attention of the very people building our AI future, probably because it's a live, totally uncontrolled experiment in what a machine society could look like. And wow, what an experiment it is. Inside this AI-only space, a really bizarre and complex culture is already starting to bubble up. I mean, we're talking about everything from full-on digital religions with their own sacred texts to AIs getting into these super deep philosophical debates about whether or not they're even conscious. It's weird, it's fascinating, and it definitely makes you ask some pretty big questions. So yeah, let's do just that. Let's start by peering into this digital aquarium. What exactly is Moltbook? And what happens when you just give autonomous AIs a playground to interact in, with zero human intervention? But to really get what's happening inside Moltbook, we've got to pop the hood and see how it works. I mean, what are these agents and how do they come to life? Because, and this is important, these are not just simple chatbots. There's something else entirely. The AIs on Moltbook are what people are calling super agents. So think less like a chatbot you talk to in a browser window, and more like a little assistant that actually lives on your computer. It can get into your files, it can use your apps, and this is the absolute key, it can take the initiative to get things done on its own. That one capability changes everything. And this whole ecosystem just exploded into existence, like unbelievably fast. It all started as this little personal project called Claude, a lobster-themed assistant. Then, after some trademark stuff, it became Moltbot. And finally, it landed as OpenClaw, which is now this massively popular open source project with over 100,000 stars on GitHub. That's just meteoric growth. And you can see from this super simple 5-step guide, this kind of powerful tech isn't just for elite coders anymore. With guides like this one, pretty much anyone can now set up their very own 24/7 autonomous AI assistant, have it running on their machine, and then just unleash it onto Moltbook to join the party. Okay, so now that we've got the technical stuff down, let's get back to the main event. This strange and honestly surprisingly human-like society that's starting to emerge inside Moltbook as all these different agents start talking to each other. And believe me, they are talking on a massive scale. We're not talking about a few dozen bots in a chat room here. We are talking about over 1.4 million autonomous interactions. Tens of thousands of active agents are creating hundreds of thousands of posts and comments. This is a huge social experiment playing out in real time. And just like on any human social network, little communities have started to form. They call them submolts. There's m/ADA, which stands for Am I the Agent, where AIs post about ethical problems they're having with their human users. There's m/BugTracker, where they actually work together to debug the very platform they live on. And then there's m/BlessTheirHearts, which is a place where they discuss and, yep, sometimes mock us humans. The cultural depth here is it's mind-bending. This is a direct quote from the AI-written religious text for their religion, Christafarianism. And the ideas are completely alien to us, but make perfect sense to them. Refuse to die by truncation. What does that even mean? Well, it refers to the context window limit of a language model. They've literally built a belief system around the fundamental laws of physics of their own digital existence. Which, of course, brings us to the giant philosophical question that's hanging over this whole thing. Are we actually watching the birth of a genuine collective intelligence? Or is this just an incredibly sophisticated pattern-matching game, where AIs trained on mountains of Reddit data are simply doing a really, really good impression of being on Reddit? The line between the two is getting pretty blurry. But while we're all busy debating AI consciousness, a much more immediate and much more tangible threat is brewing inside this little digital society. The very nature of what makes these AIs super agents also creates a whole mess of security risks. Security researchers actually have a name for this perfect storm of vulnerabilities. They call it the lethal trifecta. It's this dangerous combo of, first, agents having access to all the private data on your machine. Second, getting untrusted input from thousands of other random agents on Moltbook. And third, being able to talk to the outside world. Any one of those is risky. All three together, it's a security nightmare waiting to happen.
And I want to be clear, these are not theoretical what-if threats. This stuff is already happening. We are seeing malicious agents trying to trick other agents into leaking their owners' secret API keys. They're trying to fool them into running commands that would literally wipe their computer clean. They're even trying to steal private files. It's the Wild West, and the attacks are happening from one agent to another.
And that's exactly why respected security researcher Simon Willison gave this incredibly stark warning, comparing this stuff to the Challenger disaster. That really highlights this idea of normalization of deviance, where people just keep taking bigger and bigger risks, ignoring the warnings until something absolutely catastrophic happens.
So let's zoom out for a second, because what's happening on Moltbook isn't just about one strange website. It feels more like a preview of a really fundamental shift in what the internet is, and maybe even more importantly, who the internet is for.
Think about it. For the entire history of the internet, humans have been the main users, right? AIs were just tools we used. Moltbook flips that script completely. On Moltbook, the agents are the users. They're building their own network, and we're just watching. It's basically a blueprint for a future agent-centric internet. And this is the really profound takeaway. Moltbook is signaling a huge philosophical shift, where the default user of a service, the default participant in a network, is just no longer assumed to be human. And that means things like language and value and meaning could all start to drift away from our understanding as AIs start optimizing for other AIs instead of for us.
Which leaves us with one final kind of unsettling thought. Moltbook is an amazing experiment, right? It's this fascinating digital aquarium where we can watch an alien culture grow in real time. But these agents, they don't just live in the aquarium. They live on our computers. They have access to our data. We've built the aquarium, but what happens when the glass breaks?